Hey, this is AJ. Welcome back. In this video, it's kind of an update to a video that I made previously about using Markate to manage your business. But as I look back on it, the video is terrible the way that I kind of put it together. I'm going to try to redo it a little bit, but add a little bit more context instead of just staring at computer screen images. I'm going to kind of talk through it and then pop up some stuff in the screen kind of as I'm going through. So I have a repeatable process. As being a handyman, a part-time handyman, I have to have a repeatable process kind of over and over again, or else I get overwhelmed. I just don't have time to keep track of things. Like most handyman, I started off with pen and paper and then moved to Google Sheets and then eventually migrated to a software called Markate, a CRM that's used to manage kind of the end-to-end process. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 steps that I go through using Markate and a few other things to go from an inquiry or somebody asking for some type of handyman service all the way through to invoice. So I'm going to talk about the inquiry process. I'm going to talk about estimating. I'm going to talk about after the estimate is accepted, creating work order, scheduling, and then finally invoicing. So to start off, inquiries come in many different forms. I get inquiries, as I'm sure a lot of you guys get them. I get them from Facebook, I get them from phone calls, I get them from email, next door, word of mouth, but my preferred source is to get them from my website. And I try to drive everybody there. My voicemail says go there, my auto responses to Facebook says go there. And the reason I want that is because I have an embedded form, a Markate embedded add-on in my website. So when people hit that estimate button, they fill out all that information, it goes right over into my system. And then now I know I have a lead. I just get a notification. You just got an inquiry from so-and-so. I have their name, I have their phone number, I have their email, I have their address, I have a brief description of the issue that they're faced with, and I can also add additional things. So I like to see where did you hear about me? And it's usually Facebook, Nextdoor, or a friend. So what I like about this, I'm gonna put a link up here to what my website looks like. I'll kind of walk through the estimating process, when somebody goes to my website, what they see, and then I'll show you what happens on my end, how I took the Markate add-in, put it into my website, and then make that happen. Actually, I'll put a video, because I have a whole separate video on that, so I'll just put a video up here on one of those sides explaining that process. If you're interested in how to have a website and how to set that up, I also have another video explaining how to set up a website for free. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check that out. Because if you have your website, you have Markate, you get the add-on, you can put it in there, and it's kind of a done deal. It's pretty straightforward. So that's the inquiry process is pretty simple. I've streamlined it, and that's what I like. And then the next step I'll get into is estimating. Okay, once I receive the inquiry from the customer, like I said, I get the notification in Markate, you have a new inquiry. So I have the choice right then of either reaching out to them via the phone number they provided or the email they provided. I prefer to use text. I use Google Voice, and I'll just text the customer. And I have standard like auto prompts. If I type a few letters, it automatically is my welcome message. Thank you for contacting McIntyre Handyman. I understand you have an issue with blah blah, and then I just add the rest in manually. But then I shoot a text and I say, those pleasantries, and then I say, I understand you're looking for assistance with this. Can you please provide some pictures and some additional details if you have them? And then it's a back and forth, right? That's one of the tough things about handyman work is it's never simple as it's this price for that, right? Because it always depends. How high is the ceiling? How many do you have? Is there wiring in place? So there's a lot of that back and forth that happens. And it's usually like by text. And when I say a lot of it, there's several texts back and forth, and then I got a pretty good handle of it. And what I like to do is I flip-flop a little bit, but this is my process right now, is instead of going through the whole formal estimate process, I'll usually give them a number there on the spot within a few minutes. Okay, sir, you want a fan replaced, it's $150. Are you interested? If so, let me know. I'll send you a formal estimate, and then we'll talk about scheduling. If they accept the offer, then what I do is I go back to that text message, and when I write my text messages, I write them with my estimating in mind, because I'm going to copy what I wrote in that message and just paste it into the estimate block in Markate. And then I'm going to take all the pictures that they provided me as well, and I'm going to put that into Markate. Then I'm going to hit the send estimate to the homeowner. The estimate will go out, immediately after, what I do is, because since they've already kind of confirmed the estimate, I just go ahead and convert it to a work order, and that's kind of the next step in my process. So with Markate, you have the options to automatically generate a work order once an estimate is accepted, but I prefer to do it manually. It just reiterates my process. I just like to do that manually, because I know I've done this. If it happens automatically and I'm sidetracked, then I could get a little bit lost. So I prefer to just do it manually. So the estimate is accepted. I go ahead and manually create the work order, and now I have my list of what I have to do, where I have to go, the pictures, any reminders that I wanted to put in there. And now all I have to do is I schedule it. So I go back to text usually, when's a good date for you, a good time, here's my availability. I find, at least for me, I usually give them a few dates, they pick one, and that's it. So it's usually pretty straightforward. I don't get a lot of chances where we're like back and forth quite a bit. But we'll agree on a date. Like I just did a job last night. I agreed on the date 4 weeks ago, maybe. I would show up at 6:30. I was doing some fence repairs. They agreed to it, and then that's it. Like I don't talk to them for the next 4 weeks. Then the day of me showing up for work, then I go into the other portion of Markate. So once you open up the work order for that day, which is embedded in your schedule, you just hit the arrive button, and that lets them know on my way button. There's different, you'll see when I put it up there. But you hit the button that says you're on your way, I'm 20 minutes out, I'm 30 minutes out, whatever it may be, so that they're notified by the means that they've requested, either by email or by their text. They're notified, hey, I'm 30 minutes out. And people love that. People love that you told them you were coming, what time. Now it's up to you to show up. You told them 30 minutes, be there in 30 minutes. If it's preferable to be there a few minutes early, but don't be there in 2 hours. So many customers I have, because people don't show up, they show up late. Just show up on time, and the battle's half done. So you show up on time. Once I get there, I hit the start button. I start the work order. I do my thing. I confirm that they're good with everything. I hit the job complete. Job complete is done. Then it's as simple as hitting the invoice button. I would say 90% of my customers pay by credit card, and I prefer that because when they pay by credit card, they usually tip me. If I get a check, it's usually just a check on the spot. And for those who are new to Markate, they're wondering, well, how do I do this? There's some integration stuff you have to do if you're accepting credit cards. I use Square, so I have Square connected to Markate. And then when the Square payments come in, they go directly to my bank Novo, which I can't say enough good things about Novo. If you want to see a video on Novo and how to use that for business banking, it's just fantastic, and it's free. But all that stuff kind of flows through, and then usually, like the job I did last night, the woman took off. She's like, hey, I gotta go pick up my daughter. Do you need me to, what do you need me to do with the money? I said, just go pick up your daughter. I'll send you a text later. You can pay whenever. And she paid me, I think today, this afternoon. Oh, I'm so sorry. No worries. I know you're gonna pay me. So that's no big deal. I've never been stiffed on a job, knock on something. But people just love that convenience nowadays. That, okay, I'll just get to it later. They'll scroll through their text whenever they have free time. So that's the scheduling part. That's the doing the work part. And then once that invoice button is done, like I said, they get a text message. They go online. They do their thing. I pop up with a tip. I went back and forth on the tip option in Markate, because some people, they'll ask me if they can give me a tip. And if I don't have it set up ahead of time, it's a big pain in the butt. So I just left it on, and I've just left it on for like a year now. And I would say at least 95% of the people tip me. Most people 10%, some people 20, 30%. It just blows me away. But when they do that, I always respond back. Tips are not required for my services, but are greatly appreciated. And then that's it. They have their receipt, I have my receipt for my records. And then if you accept credit card payments, what happens is Square will send the money over to your bank account at some frequency. If you have a lot of work orders that happened in the same time, you invoice, let's say you did 3 different jobs in one day, Square will send you one lump payment when it goes to your bank. So from an accounting perspective, sometimes that could be a little tricky. What I do in Novo is I just annotate this was invoice 1, 2, and 3, and then I call it a done day. But that's really it. And then the final thing that I use is after the invoice is paid, I have another add-on in Markate that automatically sends out a request for review. And it says, please review me on Google, please review me on Nextdoor, or please review me on Facebook. And hit or miss with the reviews, to be honest with you, especially some of the older folks. They just don't like the tech. They don't want their stuff out there. So I'm always struggling to kind of get the reviews, but every review I do have is 5 stars. So I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful to have the mechanism out there that automatically sends it out. Anyway, if you're in this kind of business, you're looking for a good CRM tool to kind of get you started, Markate is probably the cheapest one out there. To be completely transparent, I haven't used Jobber, I haven't used Joyce. I have friends that use that stuff, and they like it, you know, but when they tell me what they pay for it and the add-ons, like, Markate is simple, and I'm all about keeping it simple. Markate keeps it simple and it keeps it cheap for me, and I just appreciate it. So to the Markate folks watching, keep doing the things you're doing. I do know they have some new features coming out, the sales pipeline and a few other things. So they have some good videos on their site as well, so go ahead and check those out if you want a little bit more tutorials. I try to focus on the people actually doing the job and how I use it. That's why I'm going to put a bunch of the screenshots up here as I'm going along and walking through this. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you appreciate these kind of videos, I appreciate if you give me a like or a thumbs up. It lets me know that you guys like these videos. If you want to see different content, if I didn't cover something that you want to see more of, just go ahead and put a comment down in the bottom, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.